The whole place is dark. Every light on this side of the town, suddenly it all went down. Now we'll all be brothers of the fossil fire of the sun. Now we will all be sisters of the fossil blood. Someone must have set 'em up. Now they'll be working in the cold gray rock. Now they'll be working in the hot mill steam. Now they'll be working in the concrete, in the sirens and the silences now. All the great set up hearts, all at once, start to beat. After tonight, if you don't want this to be a secret out of the past, I will resurrect it. I'll have a good go at it. I'll streak his blood across my beat, dust my feathers with his air, feel his ghost breathing down my back. I will try, no, whatever I try. I will be gone, but not forever. I will try, no, whatever I try. I will be gone, but not forever. Real truth about it is, no one gets it right. Real truth about it is, we're all supposed to try. There ain't no end to the sands I've been trying to cross. Real truth about it is, my kind of life's no better off. It's got the map, or if it's lost, we will try, no, whatever we try. We will be gone, but not forever. Come on, let's try, no, whatever we try. We will be gone, but not forever.
Listen.
Listen. Long dark blues. Listen. Long dark blues. Listen. Long dark blues. Listen.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Farewell Transmission. Who is the artist? Ohio. That's right. That song's actually 9 years old. I remember this track. It was in the playlist before. Came up, I thought, wow, that's a really great song. And then I see it's 9 years old. And I thought, oh, this is a recent one. I'm always kind of disappointed that everything's old. Everything I'm listening to, I always go and check the date, or if I do go check the date, I'll find something's like 10 years old. I'm thinking, gosh, I need some fresh music. I don't really need it. I just think I would like to see newer stuff turn up. It doesn't. I just catch everything late. I mean, there's good music out there right now. And I'm just not finding it, I'll find it later. I don't have time, to keep up with music. All right. Yeah. What were we going to talk about? We're going to talk about the president's, remarkable first. I don't know how many days are we into it now. It's the 25th, so it's 5 days in, and President Trump has been a whirlwind of activity. But me being cynical, pessimistic, jaded, and just a general downer, I keep looking for where we're going to be disappointed. Where the disappointment? That's what I'm always looking for. Where is the disappointment? Nobody's here and nobody's talking, so I'm going to play another song and try and prep this better. Yeah, and here's your next song. Just because I've been getting into Sparks lately. Whoa! That first note hits you hard, doesn't it? Because it's a Mickey Mouse world. There it is. You didn't hear it. That's good because it was too loud.
Can we invite my closest friends? We can start
you, and you, and my name is Minnie Mouse.
To my right is Minnie Mouse, and we own a little place in Disneyland, California. And my name is Mickey Mouse. To my right is Minnie Mouse, and we own a little place in Disneyland, California. And my name is Mickey Mouse. To my right is Minnie Mouse, and we own a little place in Disneyland, California.
All right, thank you. Okay, now I'm worked up. Noctis Ambulo. Hey, Noctis, how are you? All right. So, like I was saying, it's just been a whirlwind of activity, and people are excited. People, what's this? Okay, that's the echo. I've got the laptop sound on. All right. But say not much has happened yet. You got to give Trump credit. I like the idea. I like that he's just out there. He's hitting the ground running. Not just running, hitting the ground sprinting. And, he was in LA was that today? Just recently. Stephen Zamek says he enjoyed the Sparks Brothers documentary. I saw that pop up on YouTube because I was revisiting Sparks and that popped up. I'm thinking maybe I should watch that. Hi, Stephen. Thank you. Thank you for speaking up. Most of these assholes, they don't say anything. They just sit there. They lurk, and they're out there, I feel like I'm in a club, I'm dying on stage in a club, right? And there's like 6 or 7 people out there, but I don't see anybody. Occasionally I might hear them knock a glass over or something. Yes, Tweety Bird, the speed of Trump seems to be a real thing. I mean, he's really doing things, and there are significant things happening. Releasing, the executive orders to pardon 1,500 J6ers right off the bat, and he didn't seem to discriminate too much. I had expected a handful of guys, the people who actually engaged in violence and hit cops in the riot, because there was a riot there, There was a riot, and like I always say, the reason we got that riot at the Capitol, nobody seems to notice this except us here, because we're so much hipper than the world out there. But the reason that they rioted, remember, it was 2020. Well, it was January 2021. But the reason they rioted at the Capitol is because a new norm had apparently been set by Antifa that rioted here in the Northwest, in my old home of Portland, nightly, and established what these guys, these Proud Boys and Oath Keepers and others who went to the Capitol and rioted, many of them were the same people that would go and engage Antifa on the streets here in the Northwest or wherever. And they all thought that a new normal, there were new rules, and you got to riot. I remember seeing some of them afterwards when they thought it was stupid as hell. You got to admit, the whole thing was idiotic. I watched it on TV, and I was just mortified because I knew what was going to happen. I knew that this was I knew that it immediately destroyed. At the time, I was convinced Trump had been ripped off in the election. I still think he probably was. I think he only won this time is because he was allowed to win, and the cheating was dialed way down. And the only cheating that was allowed to go on was, at the local level in these urban precincts, in places like Detroit, Chicago, these rotten, corrupt places where, those people had to do it by themselves. they didn't have the help of the national organization that probably stole the election from Trump and gave it to Biden in 2020. But anyway, so I saw this riot at the Capitol, and of course on the news, all you saw was the absolute worst, the rioting outside, and it looked really bad. And I thought, well, this kills whatever chance he has of overturning the election. And it did. And of course, they tried, again, like I said last time, it's really astounding and still not quite appreciated because so much is going on and there's no time for anybody to really to talk about this stuff. But, just one aspect of all this is the insane comeback of Donald Trump, how he came back from that, from, what would have seemed just the absolute death, the Waterloo of January 6th for him. It should have just killed his career, and they thought they were going to put his ass in jail over it, and they did their level best, and that he could come back from that and be elected is just, it's insane. I just wish that it could really happen, that, the best promise of Donald Trump could in fact be realized, but it won't be. And I think it won't be in part because he's still, at the end of the day, not one of us. Steven Zamek points out that tech bros are worried about their bottom line prep. Yeah, and the Democrats are looking at this, and they're looking at Elon Musk, and well, Peter Thiel was on Trump's side all the way back in 2016, and Zuckerberg's reversal and all that. And they're seeing that part of it, and oh my God! So I mean, one aspect of it is they don't know how to process reality except by, okay, how is this framed as a political narrative? Oh, oligarchy, right? And they don't see that they in fact lost all these guys. These were their guys right up to 2016, right? I was talking about Obama last time. I mean, these are the guys who got Obama elected. These are the guys who shamelessly picked sides right up through 2020. I wish they would shut the fuck up out there. I can hear them. I hope you guys can't hear them. Why do you have to talk so loud, people? I mean, you're both sitting in the same room, I presume. Shut the fuck up. Yeah, no, the tech bros are not worried about their bottom line. It's an interesting question, Stephen. But like I was saying, the Democrats, they don't, they're going to tell this present, they've got no memory, apparently, and they're not going to tell the more interesting story. Why were all these guys, who were firmly in their camp, they've all abandoned the Democrats. One part of the story is wokeness. I think there's something genuine. There is something genuine in this turn against wokeness. And I think it's, it is true that wokeness has no real friends. The only people who like wokeness are, like mentally ill troons. Can I say troon? Some minority groups who benefit from it, and the politicians who benefit from it, and media, which ironically in our time, the most out of the loop, the most ill-informed people are the news people. They really thought, that the world was woke and that they were on the right side of history. But no, I mean, nobody had any real taste for it. And not only, was that half or more of the population that was really just anti-woke and with a great deal of overlap between right and left, not only are they all of a sudden allowed to speak because they were simply censored and it was out there stewing this whole time, but we find that the other half, that was supposedly pro-woke among them, it was just a bunch of people who were cowed into silence, being led, by these lunatics and these corrupt people. So there's something about that. I mean, when I saw Zuckerberg, and yeah, Zuckerberg is Zuckerberg, you don't trust a Zuckerberg. But I think it's not entirely false, his reversal. I think to the extent there's a real guy there, Zuckerberg is for being a Jewish billionaire oligarch, social media douche, who's, Facebook is a CIA infested organization. All of that's true, but Zuckerberg strikes me as an individual who strains for something like normalcy, who thinks, despite the fact that he's probably compromised by the CIA and everything else, despite the fact that he was down with all this shit, strikes me as a guy who would rather be where he is now than on the other side, even though, and most people probably would be. Maybe these guys, you say they're worried about their bottom line. Yeah, I mean, they saw, above all, this is what happened with all these guys abandoning, and it's not like all of them either, right? It's a few high-profile people, really. Sam Altman now, too. We'll get into that, of OpenAI, who, the more I learn about this guy, the less I like him. I think all these guys are a little relieved, maybe, and they saw the way the winds were blowing, and so they shifted. They're worried about their bottom line, and they're worried about everything. And people might actually be worried about going to jail at this point. Aside from Donald Trump's remarkable first 5 days and all that's happened, there was a whirlwind of activity that happened at the end of the Biden administration, right? And it would involved all these pardons, hundreds and hundreds of pardons, and remarkable, basically admissions of guilt in the pardons. The Justice Department, I guess it's in the process of being purged right now, but before the inauguration, no, right after Trump's first pardons, somebody at the Justice Department issued a statement, press release, or something. This isn't law. This is just somebody at the State Department talking, but people seized on this. And somebody issued a statement, this is the Justice Department talking, and they said, well, regarding the J6 protesters, if you accept this pardon, it's an admission of guilt. And I don't know if they thought it through, because, okay, does that apply to Fauci? Does that apply to these countless people, Hunter Biden and all these people that are getting pardons, not just pardons for convictions, open pardons, anything they happen to do and over the last, what was Hunter's? It was like 10 years, a 10-year stretch. So which is really weird, and I didn't even know that was a thing, that you could pardon, whatever this person might have done. So I guess, if you're Hunter and one of those prostitutes ended up in the trunk of your car in between 2014 and 2024, you're good. That's pretty remarkable. And there's another great story you could write. Somebody get on it, right? So Hunter's pardoned, or it could be anybody. Fauci's my next likely person for this to happen with. They pardon, they've got an open pardon, and then it comes out that, they in fact committed a murder. Biden pardoned his whole family. Yes, Stephen. And he's including like granddaughters and stuff in the family pardon. The family that's pardoned together stays together, I guess. And it's funny too, because I'm thinking like the granddaughter or some of these kids probably didn't even do anything, but it reveals to me, I suspect, it reveals that Joe and or Hunter involved other family members and made criminals out of, such as their nieces, by dumping money into their bank accounts, you know, necessitating the pardons. But yeah, there's pardons out there. Liz Cheney and King Kush asks, but not himself. Biden didn't pardon himself. I don't think he did. Can he? I assume he can. I mean, you could pardon a ham sandwich at this point, right? No, I don't know. Yeah, the funny thing about Joe Biden is, not funny. It's not at all funny, but I'm thinking he's not going to make it 4 years. I'm thinking he's not going to make it another 2, 3 years, right? So what happens when he passes? Is anybody going to note that this guy, right, was thinking he was going to do another 4 years in office? And I'm thinking he's not going to make it through 2 years of retirement, you know, because he's just in such bad shape right now. Plus, you know, they're going to take away whatever secret sauce they were feeding him, injecting into him to keep him propped up. Yeah. But yeah, as far as I know, King, he pardoned everybody but himself, yeah. And I have to use the restroom, so I'll be right back, guys. Have a little angst.
I hope it doesn't show, it'll go away. It's just a passing phase, it'll go away. You can't trust optical, learn to tie knots, take lots of Dramamine out on your yacht. But when you're all alone and nothing bites, you'd wish you'd stayed at home with someone nice. But when you think you made it disappear, it comes again. Hello, I'm here and I've got angst in my pants. You can be smart as hell, know how to add, know how to figure things on yellow pads. Answer so no one knows what you just said. But when you're all alone, you and your head, what's the computer say? It's smoldering now. It says, hey Joe, it spilled it out and you've got angst in your pants. You've got angst in your pants. But when you think you made it disappear, you sure you made it disappear and you still got angst in your pants. I hope it doesn't show, it'll go away. It's just a passing phase, it'll go away. I hope it doesn't show, it'll go away. Give it 100 years,
All right, thank you, Mail Brothers. Okay. Yeah, where were we? Sorry, I'm slamming tea. Coffee in the morning, then tea all afternoon. Yeah, so occasionally I have to hit the head. Yeah. Yeah, so like I was saying, Biden's not even going to make it through the next 2 years, and it's going to be like, okay, is anybody going to notice that they were actually talking about re-electing this dude? Um, but anyway, okay, let's talk about. I think we can talk about. Um, well, we're on the subject of tech bros, so uh, yeah, thought I had this keyed up. Uh, mm, 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 Trying to just trying to find. Uh, I'm trying to find that Trump. Let's just look for it. Oh God. Trump's news conference. Let's put Ellison in there. And Larry Ellison was there. I want you to see what Larry Ellison had to say.
My honor to welcome three of the world's leading technology CEOs. And in the case of Larry Ellison.
So we were talking about DeepSeek a moment ago and OpenAI. Were we? I can't remember if we were talking about it or if it was just that I was preparing earlier. Project Stargate.
We are very.
Yeah, so all right, there he is. There's Ellison. I want you to see this in a moment. So, I don't know if DeepSeek had released their O1 program, their open source program that rivals OpenAI's. I guess that's their O1, not their latest. But you pay $200 a month for this open AI program that's not open source, right? And they were boasting OpenAI has had a lead over everybody up until this happened. And they have, I hate this phrase, because it comes from Warren Buffett too. And I think that's part of the problem. People are thinking like Warren Buffett when it's time to put that away. But Warren Buffett talks about a business having a moat around it, meaning they've got a lead that's going to be unassailable for the foreseeable future. Like they have a moat, and he says there's a moat around them, and they have a castle, right? And so that was OpenAI, which is to me anathema to the whole idea. With AI, and certainly, of course, their name, super Orwellian, OpenAI, and there's nothing open about it. It's not open source. In fact, it was originally, as you know, probably, it was originally a nonprofit. We're going to develop AI as a nonprofit, and then they spun off a for-profit, right, with a moat and a castle and everything, and all this stupid fucking imagery. And now they just got their ass handed to them by a, relatively speaking, tiny Chinese outfit called DeepSeek, that I never heard of course, that released an open source program, right? Anybody can see the source code, can alter it, and it's basically free. So you can pay $200 a month to use the OpenAI version, or something like $30 a month. I think it might be actually free to use the basic program, and use this DeepSeek technology that has the added virtue of being, again, open source. And it sticks in my craw that it's it's China, right? And China doing this open source, this very, this is supposed to be us. We're supposed to be the guys that are out there, putting stuff out there free and open and transparent and everything else. But anyway, this is going on, and at the same time, Trump, his first news conference, I think, he holds with Larry Ellison, Sam Altman, and this guy, Masayoshi Son, who I don't know, of course, but he apparently runs SoftBank, and SoftBank is Japanese, and this is key here, I think, that they're Japanese, and this is all a reaction to China. And Trump is selling this news conference, press conference, was actually kind of a shit show, because Trump goes in there and he talks him up the way he does. Watch, you'll see.
Just sort of CEO of everything.
Oh yeah,
Amazing
that's Ellison.
Technology CEOs, and in the case of Larry Ellison, it's well beyond technology. Sort of CEO of everything.
Now this is, he's pumping it up, and this is another thing I learned just recently that Oracle and Ellison, they're small players in this. And I don't know why he's prominent in this. These guys are talking about they're going to raise $500 billion. And Elon Musk, who's very close to Trump, obviously now, but hates Sam Altman, actually tweeted that they don't have the money. I know they don't have the money. Oracle doesn't have the money. The Japanese guy, Son, whatever, he can come up with the money because he runs a bank. Sam Altman doesn't have $500 billion to throw at it. He's got to go out and raise it. And one of the criticisms of Sam Altman are that, now that OpenAI is all of a sudden getting their ass kicked by this Chinese midget, people are saying, he's been running around raising money and not running the company. Who knows? Altman's just kind of a repulsive figure when you look at him and listen to him, just everything about him. But here he's talking about Larry Ellison, CEO of everything. Not really. But Trump gets up here and he pumps this thing up, and then these guys get up and talk, and you realize they don't have that much yet. They're building a plant in Texas, and supposedly they're going to build a network of these plants, because apparently, and this is all shit I've only recently learned, so you guys tell me if where I don't know. But apparently AI is going to just take tons and tons of computing power, right? And it's so much that they have to build entire massive complexes just to provide them with the computing power they say they'll need to develop AI, so it can take over the world, right? Turn it to gray goo or whatever. And that's what this program's about. But Trump gets up there, he pumps it up, and when these three start talking, you realize there's nothing really there yet. They don't have it, they're talking a lot, but they might not have the money, right? They need $100 million initially, and they're talking about $500 million eventually, which they might not be near raising. And they don't seem to have a clear idea, really, of what this thing is going to be. But Larry Ellison gets up and starts talking, and he does not reassure.
Start with you, and we'll go down the line. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. We certainly couldn't do this without you. It would simply be impossible. AI holds incredible promise for all of us, for every American. We've actually been working with OpenAI for a while and with Masa for a while. The data centers are actually under construction. The first of them are under construction in Texas. Each building's 500,000 square feet. There are 10 buildings currently being built, but that will expand to 20, and other locations beyond the Abilene location, which is our first location. The kind of applications that we're building, to give you an idea, maybe the most charismatic and the one that I think touches us all is electronic health records.
Is he a fruit? Because he sounds like a fruit.
not just maintaining electronic health records, but by looking at electronic health records, understanding the condition of the doctors, better understanding the condition of their patients, and being able to provide healthcare plans that are much better than they otherwise would be. A
This
doctor
doesn't
in
sound
Indian
good
River
to me.
Reservation would be able to see how a doctor at Memorial Sloan Kettering would treat the patient, or a doctor at Stanford would treat the patient. We actually provide all of that information, all of that guidance to the doctors who are treating cancer patients or patients with any other kind of disease, made possible by AI. I'm not going to take a lot of time. I'm going to pass it to Masa, but this is a very exciting program for Oracle to be a part of. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I was grabbing tea when they said the kind of sinister sounding part about mRNA vaccines. We're going, we're going to diagnose you with cancer and fast track an mRNA vaccine for cancer. Yeah, this is not really what I want to hear, especially when you realize that Bill Gates has resurfaced. He's rehabilitated, and he's talking to Trump, and he's got Trump excited about vaccines. Stephen Zamek says, I detect a hint of mint. Tweety Bird asks, is he claiming to have cured cancer? No, he doesn't know. I don't know what he's doing here. Like I said, Oracle doesn't have the money. Why he's here, it's not really clear. But Ellison has insinuated himself into this. You know, Oracle was a big deal back in the day, but it's been a while, you know. They're not a player in AI, really. So what he's doing there, who knows? And like I said, this Japanese dude is here because he runs a bank that's financed a bunch of stuff. WeWork was one of the unsuccessful things that they got behind. But I honestly think the reason we have SoftBank, a Japanese bank, prominent here is because they're thinking of China. They're not going to mention China.
That's good. That's great. I feel tall now.
They gave him a booster. That's hilarious.
Thank you. Well, Mr. President, last month I came to celebrate your winning.
I can't
and
dislike a
promised
Japanese
that,
guy.
we
You know,
will
you
invest
just, I know.
$100 billion. And you told.
And here comes Altman, and there's nothing.
I don't have too much to add, but I did want to say I'm thrilled we get to do this in the United States of America. I think this will be the most important project of this era, and as Masa said, for AGI to get built here, to create hundreds of thousands of jobs, to create a new industry centered here. We wouldn't be able to do this without you, Mr. President, and I'm thrilled that we get to. I think it'll be an exciting project. I think we'll be able to do all of the wonderful things that these guys talked about. But the fact that we get to do this in the United States is, I think, wonderful. So thank you very much.
That's it. And see, and Trump keeps telling them, go on, go on. They've got nothing, right? And he calls a press conference, come on, let's go hype this thing. And they don't have a lot of rap to give us. Let's see what these, oh God, look at this. Am I going to watch this?
Stargate is a massive new AI infrastructure project that brings together President Donald Trump, SoftBank CEO Masayoshi Son, Oracle's Larry Ellison, and OpenAI's Sam Altman. They're committing $500 billion over 4 years to build data centers, supercomputers, and the core tech needed to push AI to its next frontier. Here's how it all unfolds, and why it could reshape the industry. So, yesterday, January 21st, 2025, President Trump held a press briefing at the White House, joined by Son, Ellison, and Altman, to announce a massive private sector investment aimed at building the largest...
This just reeks of promotion, but I do want to get a better idea of what the hell it is exactly
AI infrastructure project in history by far, called Stargate. It kicks off with an initial $100 billion with plans to grow to $500 billion over the next 4 years. The clear message: America is doubling down on AI to stay ahead in the global race, particularly against competitors like China. Now, why do we need so much
Oh, fuck.
infrastructure?
All right, I'm done. You stupid fucking robot. Oh, look, the male model robot. Fuck off. Anyway, yeah, they're thinking of China.
China's latest AI breakthrough has leapfrogged
The hell is wrong with you? Can't you just talk, Deidre?
the world.
I think we should take the development out of China very, very seriously.
A game-changing move that does not come from OpenAI, Google, or Meta,
There is a new model that has all of the valley buzzing.
but from a Chinese lab called DeepSeek.
It's opened a lot of eyes of like what is actually happening in AI in China.
What took Google and OpenAI years and hundreds of millions of dollars to build, DeepSeek says took it just 2 months and less than $6 million.
They have the best open source model, and all the American developers are building on that.
I'm Deirdre Bosa with the Tech Check Take, China's AI breakthrough.
All right.
It was a technological leap that shocked Silicon Valley. A newly unveiled, free, open source AI model that beat some of the most powerful ones on the market. But it wasn't a new launch.
Why
from
does she have to
OpenAI.
act like that? Like, Jesus, like she's from HR or something. Oh. Okay. Let's just go to Sky.
Model testing is back. We are going to put the new DeepSeek R1 model through my entire LLM rubric. And this video is brought to you by Vultr. They are powering the full DeepSeek
LLM, large language model. I know that
R1
much.
model on bare metal GPUs in their cloud. More on that in a little bit. Let's get right into it. So the first thing I just wanted to do was test that it was working. As you can see here, we're connecting to an IP address in the cloud. This is not DeepSeek. This is Vultr's cloud. I spun up some GPUs. I'll tell you the exact system I'm using in a little bit, but here it is running. We're using Open Web UI, which is an open source front-end framework for LLMs. And how many words are in the word strawberry? And here we go. DeepSeek
How many
R1.
R's?
Now, all of the thinking, the chain of thought is wrapped in these think tags. So, okay, let me figure out how
All
many
right,
times
yeah,
the letter.
okay. That's something I might want to watch later. I'm just now learning about AI. I've decided now I've got to go learn about this shit that I was just happy to ignore. Stephen asks, what do you think of the CIA recently implicating China in the release of COVID to the world? Stephen Zamek, I don't buy it for a moment. I think it's more likely we released it. I think Ron Unz is actually on to something. He has a theory that COVID was actually released by U.S. intelligence, perhaps rogue elements in U.S. intelligence. It was released near Wuhan when there were U.S. military was there for some sort of joint operations. Why we do joint operations with China, we probably don't anymore. I don't know, but yeah, I think it was actually released by us, and I think the reason why they're going to implicate China is because they need to demonize China. We're going to either go to war with China, or at least enter a long Cold War with China. So and I just don't trust my government. I trust my government less than I trust the Chinese, really. Okay, they could have at least recruited TLC from Stargate show to model the AI after. Well, I'm proud to say I would never feckin' watch anything like Stargate, the series. I've seen part of the movie. Movie was kind of cringe, if you ask me. Great idea, I guess, Had great elements to it, but yeah, no thank you. No, thank you. So I don't put a lot of stock in this. And I hope Trump doesn't go back to his China virus bullshit. It just doesn't work. It's not going to get anywhere. You're going to get rolled into going to war with China, Donald Trump. We don't want war with China. We should compete with China. We're not going to get there we're not going to maintain our dominance by going to war with China. We will quickly be revealed as a paper tiger if we do. And China will probably ally with Russia. It would probably solidify this new realignment in the world with the Eurasian landmass dominated by China and Asia, right? And Europe and the United States relegated to, we become the third world, the second world sort of situation. And I think really the time for, it's really sad, but I think it's time for America to think of a post-imperial, post-dominance world, and how, it could be a great place to live. It could still be the best place in the world to live and not dominate the world. And I don't think the world benefits from U.S. dominance. And I don't think that Chinese dominance, it's not to be welcomed. We've proven what we would do with it, and it's horrible what we're doing with it. Largely because we're dominated by a certain ethnic group that seems to just fucking hate humanity. Chinese don't. But, it's easy to forget. The Chinese are assholes, They're assholes who think they're better than everybody else, too. Everybody's supremacist, It's so funny when they talk about white supremacy. Everybody's supremacist. It's just that not everybody gets a chance to reign supreme, But anyway. Yeah, so that's what's happening there. We're about to lose the AI arms race. But I think that AI, it needs to be open source. So I'm rooting for the Chinese. Our only hope is, either it's going to be dominated by people like Altman, the tech bros, or it's going to be open source, where at least we can, it'll be democratic, and then we'll have a chance, perhaps. There it is. Excuse me. Then the common man will have a chance to survive this coming AI dominance. Okay. I was going to try and list all of the executive orders. I've only got 2 here. I was going to try and go through them. And just talk about what they mean. But anyway, we'll talk about the 2 I have here. So this one is much talked about. Declassification of records concerning the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. This reads, by the authority vested in me as President by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, is hereby ordered as follows. Section 1, policy and purpose. More than 50 years after the assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, the federal government has not released to the public all of its records. Yeah. The President John F. Kennedy Assassination Records Collection Act of 1992 required all records related to the assassination to be publicly disclosed in full by October 26, 2017. Notice Trump was in office then. Unless the President certifies that continued postponement is made necessary by an identifiable harm to the military defense, intelligence operations, law enforcement, or conduct of foreign relations, and two, the identifiable harm is of such gravity that it outweighs the public interest in disclosure. In 2018, the AP reported Trump had quote-unquote boasted he had released all remaining files related to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, but, quote, so far Trump hasn't made good on the great transparency he promised. Trump announced on Thursday that the public must wait another 3 years. This is in 2018. So Trump kicked the can down the road to 2021, and he ended up, of course, out of office. He wouldn't, he couldn't know that he would be out of office. But later, Roger Stone reported the much-repeated story that Trump told him he could not release the files because we can't handle the truth. Yeah. Yeah, well, I've written here, with the cynicism of age, I'm predicting nothing will be revealed. Yeah, and we will, nothing is going, I'm thinking there's going to be redacted portions that we won't get. And there will still be questions, but we're not going to learn anything because nothing ever changes. The world, I've been around a long time now. Yeah, Stephen Zamek asks, how is releasing 50-year-old records a security risk today? Yeah, I mean, it's only a security risk if we reveal that Mossad was in on it or something like that. And I'm thinking it's just impossible, right? That's what people are thinking. We're going to find that it was the CIA. We're going to find that it was Mossad. It's a risk to them. It's a risk to the intelligence agencies. It's a risk to institutions, right? There are no individuals, It's 50 years later, they're, one of the first things they list when talking about keeping records secret is it's going to compromise people and endanger the lives of assets, blah, yada, yada, yada. Obviously, that's not a thing here. But I'm just thinking, I mean, they've also had the 50 years. How many is it? It's 40, it's 60 some years, right, since Kennedy's assassination. They've had all this time to remove records, right? I mean, what's a chain of possession for these things? I don't even know. But, what's to stop them from pulling things out of the file if we haven't known all this time? And we pass on from one president to the next. Presumably a president can look at it. Trump, of course, infamously said to Roger Stone, oh, I can't release it because, it would be too earth-shattering, and he didn't say why. And that just led to a bunch of speculation. And now he's going to release, I don't think that's changed. I think it's probably that there's clear CIA involvement, if it's known. And it's astounding to me that it would be sitting there under wraps this whole time, and there are people, presumably every presidential administration that comes through, there's the president and some few people who get to see it, who keep the secret, right? Is this what we're supposed to believe? Well, I just think it's far more likely that CIA involvement, Mossad involvement, anything like that, anything that's going to hurt these organizations, that info has been pulled already. Any actual proof of that has been removed from the record then again, I don't know. Maybe it's a secure process. Maybe they have that under lock and key, and it really isn't possible. But like I said, I'm old and I'm cynical, and I don't think. I think the ability for our government and our intelligence agencies, the deep state, whatever you want to call it, their ability to keep you in the dark is boundless, and they don't just cough up the truth because President Trump issued an executive order. So I'm going to go not very far out on a limb here and say nothing's going to come of this. Trump gets to keep his promise, and he is keeping his promise. God bless him, appears to be keeping his promise, but nothing's going to come of it because presidents come and go, we come and go, but the state abides. And the intelligence state, the secret state abides, And there was another, and then we were just talking about AI. This is another one. I don't think there's anything here. Removing barriers to American leadership in artificial intelligence. Here, I have it here. Do I? There it is. There's nothing here. It orders that it orders the relevant people. David Sachs is going to be the whatever czar in charge of AI, and it directs him to develop an artificial intelligence action plan within 180 days. The assistant to the president for science and technology, I think that's Sachs. No, the special advisor for AI and crypto, that's Sachs. And the assistant to the president for national security affairs in coordination with the assistant to the president for economic policy, yada, 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 OMB director, etc. All shall develop and submit to the president an action plan to achieve the policies set forth in Section 2. So anyway, there's nothing here. There's an interesting aspect to this, though. There's maybe some substance in here. Section 5. These relevant parties shall immediately review in coordination with the heads of all agencies as they deem relevant all policies, directives, regulations, orders, and other actions taken pursuant to the revoked Executive Order 14110 of October 30th, 2023. So he revoked, along with a bunch of Biden's executive orders. This is what they do. And all of these orders of Trump will be revoked. Any of them that have any substantial effect will all be revoked when he's gone. But he revoked this order 14110, which was, I think I have it here. Yeah. So this is Biden's executive order about AI, and it injects the wokeness into AI. Section 2D. Artificial intelligence policies must be consistent with my administration's dedication to advancing equity and civil rights. My administration cannot and will not tolerate the use of AI to disadvantage those who are already too often denied equal opportunity and justice. From hiring to housing to healthcare, we have seen what happens when AI use deepens discrimination and bias. Have we? Are there any examples of that? Anyway, rather than improving quality of life, artificial intelligence systems deployed irresponsibly have reproduced and intensified existing inequities, caused new types of harmful discrimination, and exacerbated online and physical harms. My administration will build on the important steps that have already been taken, such as issuing the blueprint for an AI Bill of Rights, the AI Risk Management Framework, and Executive Order 14091 of February 16, 2023, further advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. So yeah, there's a lot of blather about saying that AI has to maintain a conventional bias. Oh, everybody's leaving. Yeah. Anyway, Biden tried to inject wokeness into AI, and Trump is saying that he's taking it out. And you realize, too, here's another thing. So in the United States, my limited knowledge of AI and the landscape of AI right now suggests to me that we have several things working against us in the development of AI. Whether it's going to be the next, Earth, I think it is going to be huge. I mean, at the very least, AI is going to render a lot of human jobs redundant, and it's going to be everywhere. It's basically like the internet all over again. It's going to change a lot of things, It'll change everything and it'll change nothing, just like the internet in a way. But I do think it's going to be huge, and it might be, it might be transformative the way they say it is. And we're at a severe disadvantage here in the United States because several reasons, but we have shit like OpenAI, pretend open, Why do they get to call it OpenAI when it's not even, there's nothing transparent about it. They're building a moat. It's not open source. There's nothing about it. We're at a disadvantage, though, because we're getting to that place. And you see in this frenzy of activity from Trump and in the tech bros and a lot of business people, a lot of elites abandoning finally opposition to Trump and coming over, maybe they all see that we're getting to where we can't even do shit. And wokeism is just a part of that. It's just another aspect of that. And I don't by any means think, I think wokeism is largely a distraction at this point. I think there are other things that we need to focus on. And they're using wokeism to shuttle us away from opposition to Jewish power, for one thing. But beside that point, wokeism and our general degeneracy, their general decay, how we don't get shit done in this country anymore. And China's over there just, with all the confidence and all the cunning and, all that capability, they're going to eat our lunch on AI. People sense that. That's what this Stargate thing is. That's why they're pumping Stargate up before they even have anything with it. But you see what we're doing, too. We're going to throw $500 billion into this massive project. And there's little old DeepSeek in China saying, we spent $6 million. And we pretty much matched what OpenAI is doing. So we're in big trouble in that regard. And I say the only thing is it should be open. It should be open source. That should be like a rule with AI. And it may not be necessary, because if open source AI rules the day, then I assume this other model, the OpenAI model, falls by the wayside. But in our country, they're going to use it for control. Isn't that crazy? China offers, what looks like a more democratic, transparent model, right? And here in America, it's OpenAI and it's all the tech bros who are all bound up with the surveillance state, people like Peter Thiel and Musk, right? And that's their idea of AI control, right? We're monitoring your health, and we're going to do this and that. And we're going to develop vaccines. The whole idea of vaccines should be like, we should be revisiting the very idea of vaccines. You know, and think, what is a vaccine? What do we want from them? You know, do we need all of these vaccines? You know, do you vaccinate away something like cancer? Is that even something that can be treated with vaccines? I don't even, you know, sounds crazy to me, right? I mean, they've been pursuing a holy grail of a vaccine for AIDS all these years, keep in mind, and they've killed people. They've killed tons of people trying to develop a vaccine for AIDS. Of course, AIDS might not even be a real thing. But there's nobody here, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. Yeah. But we have so many things working against us. And in the frenzy, again, that you see, there's desperation. It's not all bad. It's a bad sign. I think people see where we're at and see how far gone, and they're desperately trying, to the extent you can talk about it, they're desperately trying to roll back all the wokeism. Again, all these tech bros were just down with it. Maybe they thought, you know, right up until recently, right till they all abandoned it to join the Trump train, very recently. But maybe they thought, I think they thought, sort of a mixture of two things, that wokeism could be carried along, endured. It might have been a lot of bullshit, but it was ultimately meaningless, and we could, you know, it was a cost. It was baggage we could carry easily. But perhaps more so, what they thought was wokeism is a means of control. I mean, that's what it is ultimately. It's not really about the troons or the minority group or whatever they're talking about, you know. It's about control. And there's a reason why, we talked about this with somebody here, there's a reason why your HR department embraces it so much. There's a reason why a corporate boardroom embraces it so much, because it's another avenue of control. It's another, you know, they naturally gravitate, these organizations and people and women, I think more than men, naturally gravitate toward anything that is hierarchical and involves control, and it involves, you know, sort of like well-defined hierarchical divisions that can be manipulated, right? That's why your HR loves it. HR, which is supposed to be human resources, was supposed to manage these human problems at a large organization, right? I mean, there's actually a need for HR, I think, you know, originally. You can understand why it developed in the first place. But then when they start dropping political correctness on HR, the HR departments, you know, they just naturally grab it, you know, and it's being given to them with the imprimatur of, you know, of respectability that comes out of the academy, right? Oh, here's this Harvard study about bias, right? Oh, look, here's, you know, black science man, what's his name? Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's here to tell you how there are now infinite genders, you know. Yeah. Stephen Zamek says we still don't know what causes cancer. Is that true? I mean, we know of carcinogens, right, that are associated with cancer. We don't know the mechanism of how it works, I guess, right? And that's why tobacco companies for years were able to argue that nobody's ever demonstrated exactly how cigarettes cause lung cancer. You can get lung cancer without smoking. My mother died of lung cancer and never smoked. Yeah, I mean, correlation is not causality, Stephen, but you know, you get enough correlation, it's hard to deny. But yeah, I think is it true? Somebody tell me that all these things that are called carcinogenic, it's probably all statistical evidence. It's all correlation. Nobody can actually show you the mechanism, but that's probably often true. That people really rely on correlation and they can't show you the exact mechanism of how X causes Y regarding health, right? It's just like the stuff we eat, right? I think that they're probably right about seed oils, but nobody really shows you exactly how it is that seed oils are fucking you up. They're just showing you the correlations. RFK Jr., when he talks, and I tend to believe him, but I don't know. When he talks, when he cites all these stats about how much sicker we are now that we eat all these seed oils and other things, it's just statistical correlation. Nobody can actually show it. That's why they get away with shit with health. You know, oh, fats are bad. All fats are bad, and it's just, you know, you can manipulate statistical correlation, right? And statistical correlations will hide, you know, real factors, right? And that's, I think, why it's not really clear why, you know, what's making us sick. I mean, so, you know, you say correlation is not causation. No, but I think there's got to be something to the correlation between what we eat now and how sick we are. And again, you can't show exactly how this works. Stephen says, I think most diseases genetics. You're probably right. I think it's just vastly genetics, and I think we still hear people talking, people who should know better, talking about behavior and stuff and habit, you know, regarding longevity and disease and everything else. And I think, I think when we unravel this mystery, we're going to find, like so many other things, the kind of depressing thing is that it's in your heredity. You got cancer, you got fat, you got whatever else. It was written in your DNA from the start. But you can't forget, I mean, we've had the same DNA, and we weren't all a bunch of fat asses up until, you know, recently. So it can't entirely be genetic either, you know. You can definitely avoid being a fat ass. And if you can avoid being a fat ass, you can avoid a host of diseases that are associated with that. But cancer, you know, that's probably just, you know, you're going to get it. Heart disease, I think, is massively genetic, right? You guys are too young probably to remember who Jim Fixx was, but he started the running craze in the late 70s. He had heart disease and he started jogging for his, you know, for his health. Wrote a book about it. And then died of a heart attack in his early 50s, I think. So yeah. Yeah. Correlation is not causation, not causality, we don't say. We don't say it. He died of jogging at 50. Yeah, he might have killed himself. He might have ran himself to death, yeah. You know, that's why I kind of laugh at these guys, you know, they're all these fitness guys, right? Like, you know, they're all over Twitter with bodybuilder avatars and stuff, and they're talking about seed oils and all this shit, and, you know, half of these guys are probably killing themselves, you know. It was hilarious when Arnold Schwarzenegger was made, he was like an unofficial, like health something, maybe it was the Clinton White House, they made him like the national health advisor or something, because he's Arnold. And he's a guy who basically ruined his health by dropping steroids when he was a bodybuilder, right? He had some serious issues around that. So you could kill yourself trying to stay fit. Because let's be honest, most people aren't, people aren't lifting weights and working out to be healthy as much as they want to look good. And, like a bodybuilder lifestyle is one of the least healthy lifestyles you can have, probably. Dropping roids and working yourself into this, freakishly muscled thing. Yeah. All right. Maybe we'll try a little more. Okay, let's just... All right, here's Newsweek's full list of Donald Trump's executive orders. Designating Ansar Allah terrorist group. On Wednesday, Trump issued an order designating Ansar Allah, commonly known as the Houthis, as a foreign terrorist organization. See, this is bullshit. The order says that the U.S. will work with allies to, quote, eliminate Ansar Allah's capabilities and operations, deprive it of resources, and thereby end its attacks on U.S. personnel and civilians, U.S. partners, and maritime shipping in the Red Sea. So this is all just on behalf of Israel bullshit. Ansar Allah, the Houthis, they run a good piece of Yemen. They are arguably the government of Yemen, and they have decided to go to war with Israel over Gaza, and that's the only reason this is happening, and this is not good. This one's good. On first full day, Trump targets DEI initiatives. Trump issued 2 executive orders rolling back DEI programs in the federal government on Tuesday. The first order required the Secretary of Transportation and Federal Aviation Administration to end DEI initiatives and, quote, immediately return to non-discriminatory merit-based hiring, unquote. Illegal and discriminatory diversity, equity, and inclusion hiring, including on the basis of race, sex, disability, or any other criteria other than the safety of airline passengers and overall job excellence, competency, and qualification, harms all Americans who deserve to fly with confidence, Trump wrote in a statement. The second executive order he signed on Tuesday ordered agencies to, quote, terminate all discriminatory and illegal preferences, mandates, policies, programs, activities, guidance, regulations, enforcement actions, consent orders, and requirements. Enforce our long-standing civil rights laws and to combat illegal private sector DEI preferences, mandates, policies, programs, and activities, unquote. I like these. Like I said, I think of the whole anti-woke movement now becoming largely a distraction, but this is all good. It needs to happen, and it should be welcomed. It's just you should not be sated by it, right? You should not be satisfied with this. This is, of course, keep in mind, all of this is rolling back outrages, right? And we're still not back to normal, right? This is just rolling back things that were outrageous the whole time. It's a crime that they ever got as far as they have. It's a crime that supposedly conservative people in government and elsewhere have accepted it, and that so many people have cowered before it, only now that it's getting safe for a politician to come out hard against this stuff. I guess God bless Trump for making it that way. But, it's all going to be for naught if he gets us in a war on behalf of Israel, if we go to war, World War III on behalf of Israel. We go to war with China because, because Trump is ultimately naive about this, But in and of itself, yeah, it's good to see DEI dying. The executive order revoked 4 executive orders that dealt with addressing environmental justice and government initiatives to promote diversity in the federal workforce. Trump's order required federal contractors to also comply with the civil rights laws. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt also confirmed on X that all federal employees serving in DEI positions are being placed on paid leave by the end of the day on Wednesday as part of Trump's plans to roll back these programs. And again, I sense to the extent that this is real for those elites, for, the people like, again, the tech bros and others who are either going over to Trump or are dropping their resistance to him, and the people in the middle and the left who are embracing the anti-woke position. There's a sense that, oh my God, we may have wrecked, we may have gone too far, and it may be that we won't, that we're all gonna be speaking Chinese soon because we were fucking around with this stupid woke bullshit. But someone still needs to go back, and we're already forgetting 2020. We're already forgetting the madness. I mean, Trump is rolling back these crazy executive orders that came in with Biden, right? That they were drafting up, that were a result of 2020 and the George Floyd riots. Yeah, how that was allowed to happen, how false it was, how astroturfed it was, how obviously orchestrated from the top. Really, I mean, it should be, it should be like, I don't know. I hesitate to say it, but I think there should be retribution, real retribution, like people being marched through the streets with their heads shaved and wearing signs. Everybody behind the madness of 2020. Keep in mind, it's all being rolled back now. But it's not all being rolled back either. It's still not clear at all that we're going to roll it all back. The tide came in and it pushed down the madness a little farther, and now it looks like the pendulum's swinging back, but, like the ratchet effect. The madness of 2020 pushed everything way out here. It gets rolled back about halfway, and everybody thinks, oh, the pendulum swung back. No, it's not a pendulum, it's a ratchet, And we're still moving, as we've been moving since the 60s. There's still this horrible trend towards lunacy and madness that goes hand in hand with demographic change, And what really needs to happen, of course, is that demographic shift, if that can be reversed. And I'm going to allow myself, through all this cynicism and pessimism, going to allow myself to believe that it is at least possible. And even possible with Trump. And even, as much as I'm betting my money, my chips are going over here that Trump's going to disappoint us and that, it's all ultimately going to come to blood. I know there's a chance that this, what's happening now with Trump, it would have to be bigger than Trump, but there's a chance that all of these optimists are right, and that this is actually the beginning of something real, and a real shift. But, that shift, it would have to be revolutionary. The change we need would have to be revolutionary, and it would involve still involve things that people consider unspeakable, like a deliberate shift in demographics, a deliberate return to, what we now would call white supremacy, right? GSP says we certainly didn't need RNA vaccines for the coup. Yeah, and that was just part of it. Woke stuff cost America its geopolitical ambitions in the global south. Maybe. I think Israel cost it too. I mean, it's amazing. There's a lot of ruin in a nation, as the saying goes. It's astounding how much we've gotten away with, and we could still conceivably turn it around even at this point, even after decades of maliciously spending down our capital and causing grave harm to other parts of the world. You know, it didn't just begin with Ukraine. It didn't begin with Gaza, you know. But I think we've ruined our ambitions in, you know, the global south and everywhere by being controlled by Israel, being controlled by the diaspora here on behalf of Israel. You know, and none of that's improved with Trump. That's only gotten worse. But I actually hold out hope that Trump, because in Trump I see the potential for him to become, for lack of a better word, anti-Semitic. To me, anti-Semitism is not a dirty word. It just means you oppose Jewish power. You know, I don't hate Jews. I generally don't. I revile their religion, but then I'm not really that keen on Christianity. When you get down to, when you start unraveling the details of it, to me it's, I won't say it, but to me it's not, there's nothing noble, there's nothing beautiful. God damn it, shut the fuck up. I'm going to lose my what Christianity I have left. I'm going to lose if these people don't be quiet out there. No, I mean, but I digress. Yeah, you know, I really wish I could treat people as individuals. I wish I could be a liberal and just go through life just, you know, taking each individual as they come to me. But that, you know, is where that's a good way to get yourself gutted. All right. Trump's first order is appoint cabinet-level officials. All right. Yeah, and I haven't been paying enough attention. He appointed dozens of cabinet-level officials and acting officials. James McHenry as acting Attorney General, Robert Salasis as acting Secretary of Defense. I guess so we've got Hegseth now. I guess Hegseth made it with a tie-breaking vote from Vance. I don't like Hegseth, no. And this is Hegseth, like I've said before. Hegseth is, I don't like him, and I don't like what I see in the nomination. Hegseth is super anti-woke and all that. And what he says about the military actually sounds great. You know, let's make it a war-fighting military. Wring out all the bullshit and get women out of combat and stop talking about transsexuals and all this other crap. But on the other hand, he's a thoroughgoing Christian Zionist he talks about building the third temple, and just lunatic pro-Israel. Lunatic pro-Israel. So what's he doing there, right? Why'd Trump pick him? I mean, it's like he's there to shape up the military so they can go fight a war for Israel. That's what I see. You know, who knows? I mean, you know, he really isn't qualified to lead the organization. He really has no experience leading anything that big. So he's probably not even going to be a factor. Trump officials also immediately shut down a Biden-era Customs and Border Protection app that allowed migrants to apply to legally enter the U.S. by seeking asylum. Yeah, by doing it on their phones. So that was great. Trump signed a number of other executive actions at the Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C., where he addressed supporters in the late afternoon. The actions he signed included the rescission of 78 Biden-era executive orders, actions, and memoranda, a regulatory freeze preventing bureaucrats from issuing any more regulations until, quote, we have full control, unquote, of the government. I like that. This is good. I mean, I like that he's got his shit together. He's obviously been spending the last couple of months mapping out, you know, how he was going to, and for whatever reason, right? People take office and they think, okay, we got all these plans, but we're not going to introduce them right away. We're politically, right? We're going to drop them here in a couple of weeks, in another couple of weeks, and you know, the thinking, whatever it is political. It's entirely about how you know, how we can sell this and how we can drop these changes to best promote our image, and to, you know, we want to avoid too much controversy early on. And he just said, screw it. We've got all these goals. We've got all this work to do. We're going to go in and we're going to shock and awe them, right? By just dropping it all on everybody, right? We're just going to immediately institute all this stuff. And why not? A freeze on all federal hiring except in the military and a number of other excluded categories. A requirement that federal workers return to full-time in-person work. Directing agencies to address Americans' cost of living crisis. Newsweek puts crisis in quotes. Yeah, whatever that means. Withdrawing from the Paris Agreement and informing the United Nations of the U.S.'s withdrawal from the landmark climate treaty. Excellent. A directive to the federal government, quote, ordering the restoration of freedom of speech and preventing government censorship of free speech going forward, unquote. That's awesome, you know. But there are some people in the Trump circle who have been very keen on putting down the freedom of speech of, say, anti-Israel protesters. So we'll see. We'll see if they keep their word when it comes to that. A directive to the federal government, quote, ending the weaponization of government against the political adversaries of the previous administration as we've seen, unquote. Okay, that sounds great. You know, how is that affected? That sounds awesome, but how, you know, what are the details of it? How is it affected? What does it mean, really? Trump then headed to the White House, where one of the first things he did was pardon more than 1,500 people convicted in connection with the deadly January 6, 2021 Capitol riot. Yeah, it was deadly, and who died? They always say that, right? Who exactly died? I know of the one rioter who died. Many of Trump's campaign promises may be able to be implemented by executive order, but others will require support from Congress. Okay. Immigration. Trump signed an executive order seeking to end birthright citizenship. That's, of course, been stayed, or however you say that, blocked, by a Northwest judge, one of ours, of course. But then we all knew this would happen. The order will almost certainly face legal challenges, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, no, this is great. I mean, in this executive order, obviously the thing is to try and force the issue into the legislature, try to force Congress to take it up and try to force this issue into, you know, the public narrative. And it's out there and people are talking about it, and time might be right. You know, there's a thin membrane there between that, you know, this stuff might all break out into the open, you know, and a lot of people think, you know, oh gosh, mass deportations, ending birthright citizenship, these are radical notions that are never going to get anywhere. That's where we've been for a long time. But on one hand, because Biden and you know, the post-2020 reality and Biden's insanity regarding the border and things like this, they went too far. And maybe the real story of what's happening with Trump And with the country right now is that they pushed too far. When they got rid of Trump in 2020, keep in mind, they didn't expect Trump to come back in 2024. They got rid of him in 2020, and how often does somebody lose an election? When somebody loses re-election to the presidency, they go away, they retire, right? Trump not only lost re-election, he was being prosecuted, right? And he was being treated as a quote-unquote insurrectionist. He led an insurrection, all this horse shit. That was the narrative. He was not supposed to come back. And keep that in mind, again, when I say that people should be, they marched in the streets with their heads shaved and signs around their neck, being pelted with rotten vegetables. Because these fuckers, all the excess of the Biden administration, that was supposed to be the new normal. Trump wasn't supposed to come back and be doing all this. So they were supposed to have taken, Mayorkas, opening the border, right? Blinken and all his insanity. All of that was supposed to be carried over now into 2024. And it was supposed to be carried over either with Biden, even less in charge, or Harris, who was after Biden would be, the next least effective president, the next most malleable person to put in there as a fake president. So these bastards, not only did what they'd done for the last 4 years, they're supposed to be still doing it. Yeah, their plan was they would still be going hard right now. In fact, and then when Trump did reappear and mounted a campaign, think about him losing, right? Had he lost, it would have been just like 2020, where they came back after getting rid of Trump. They're like, okay, we've got to go fast now. We'll go fast with a demographic replacement, open the borders. We're going to go fast with everything because we have to teach these bastards who elected Trump, and we have to make sure it never happens again, right? And then Trump shows up in 2044, and imagine if it almost happened again. Imagine their fury and their malice and their vengeance that they would be wreaking on us right now if they had won, if they had stolen it all over again. It would be brutal. So these people are bastards. They barely deserve to breathe air. Noctis says, I like the term white primacy. I'll go with it, whatever you want to call it. I'm down. GSP says, if you look at who was most marginalized by wokeism, it's clear that the regime was afraid of heterosexual white men. Yeah. And who is really most afraid of heterosexual white men, right? And who might have a beef with heterosexual, let's say WASPs, right? Yeah, it's a certain ethnic group, right? Isn't it funny how it works? That the people who've been placed at the center of that, who the people who were in, when you move away all the bullshit and you see what's their target, and it's white, male, Christian, right? Yeah, who's concerned about that group, right? Who genuinely worries about that group, worries about what that group will do when they get power back. This is another thing that's, that I obsess over. And I think that they've gone so far, like talking about how far they went in 2020, how far they've gone. The farther they go, the more unthinkable it is for them to go back. Because, look where it is. I mean, right now, it's like the dam is about to bust. People are afraid because they're thinking, oh my God, if the whole country gets behind Trump, if Trump becomes immensely popular, it's not, It's not implausible anymore, right? It's insane. You would think, after all their efforts, that it would be impossible for Trump to gain the majority, but he could. And if you know, especially in this anti-wokeism, I mean, I put it down a lot. I say a lot about it being a distraction and stuff. But if it gets really big, right, and it becomes the dominant obsession of the people, right, all of a sudden, all those people behind it, like I said, their heads shaved, marching them through the streets, pelting them with garbage. You know, the farther they go in with these things, the more guilty they are, and they know it. A guy like Mayorkas, he knows. You know, I mean, that's why Biden's out there pardoning people. These people know they have broken rules, and they know they've been very nasty, and they've been very open in their malice, and they've been, you know, very boastful and proud about what they're doing. To find themselves suddenly on the weak side, it must terrify them. GSP says it's like when they fired those woke university deans because of their support for Palestine. If the American regime has to choose between woke and Israel, it would choose Israel. Yeah, and it's still where we're at. I mean, don't let my enthusiasm here in this little rant for anti-wokeism let you think that I'm fooled by it either. No, and you shouldn't be fooled by it. Nobody should be fooled by it, above all. And I've got hope that it's not going to happen because especially the younger guys who are not behind Trump, they're either behind Trump or, you know, they're enemies of the regime. And they're skeptical of Trump, but they're basically, we are classified as that Trump side of things by the enemy. But, you know, there's no love of Israel among the young men of America. And I always say the anti-Semitism you see on Twitter, now X, is a sign of its health, right? The very thing that everybody's like worried about, including many on the right, you know. But the anti-Semitism is, and Semites know this, and their supporters, the Zionists and our Jewish friends, they know this, that it's a sign of health. It's a sign of health that there are all these people questioning this, you know. And it's got to be very scary. So I hold out hope that there's a great big faction within the Trump movement, or sort of allied, adjacent to the Trump movement, who aren't going to be swayed. You know, of course we hate wokeism. Of course we see it for what it is. But we also make the connection, or who's behind it, for instance, right? You know, what is it really? You know, it's not, you know, we're not fucking James Lindsay or Chris Rufo out here, right? And these guys who think it's, like James Lindsay, he thinks apparently it's all understood if you just understand the theory. Like theory just bubbles up naturally, right? There's no like ethnic struggle behind it. There's no power behind it. There's no people behind theory. Theory is its own force that works through humanity. Like we're just fodder for theory if you listen to an asshole like Lindsay or a Chris Rufo who doesn't even go that deep into it, right? It's just there and you don't really need to understand any further. And once you get away with, you know, the simpler anti-woke people think if we just stop this one means that the enemy has of keeping us down, then it's over. No, you know, we have enemies, you know. Anyway, I want to take all that back and express my love for Israel and my absolute abhorrence of anti-Semitism, Jew hate, or any sort of bias, okay? All right. Anyway, great things on immigration, and as you saw, that this is good too. Again, less than the woke thing, right? This is substantial. Not that the woke, anti-woke stuff is insubstantial, it's real. And the immigration thing, I mean, if they can just keep going, they're out there. I love it. I mean, it's week one, right? It's not, Trump's not even done with his first week, and he's already sending people out there to gather up, to collect these criminal aliens. So it's wonderful, and I see what's happening with the opposition to it is that they're just, it's happening so fast that they haven't even formed a resistance to it yet. They don't even, they're just trying to find their feet to react to it. So it's wonderful, and I just hope that Trump keeps it up. Because he may be Zion Don, but he does at least recognize that, that this stuff is killing us. Wokeism is killing us. Demographic replacement is killing us. If we can just get the guy, I don't know, maybe he doesn't really see that. He's going to screw us on H-1Bs. But then again, Vivek Ramaswamy has been kicked to the curb, kicked to Ohio. He's going to run for governor of Ohio after. I don't know what it's like in Ohio. I don't always think of Ohio as being like the most Midwestern American sort of place, but maybe it isn't. But yeah, he's going to run for governor of Ohio after his anti-white rant. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I saw something crazy in Ohio. I was in Cleveland in 2016. I was heading to the airport, and I was in, what's that? I keep wanting to say Gary, Indiana. It's Canton? Is it Canton? It's a city in Ohio just outside Cleveland that used to be a manufacturing hub. And now it's like, it's this wasteland dominated by feral blacks. I was driving my rental car to the airport. I think, maybe there's an airport in Canton. I don't remember. But, so I'm at a light, right? And summer day. I'm at a light in this dreary, I'll say Canton. I think it's Canton. And all of a sudden, a caravan appears, right? It's young Negroes from the hood, right? They're coming. We're at the light. I'm like 3 cars back at a red light. And down this highway, like a 4-lane highway, all of a sudden it's just a parade of Negroes, kids, young blacks, in cars, whatever, and they're all hanging out the windows and, just, chimping it up. And they're going by, and there are hundreds of cars, right? And we're sitting there, the lights changing green to red to green to red, and we can't go anywhere because they're just clogging the street. And they're going, and they're all hanging out the windows and like whooping it up, and like, then the whole vibe was like, we dare somebody to do something about it. There might have been 1,000 of them. I mean, like I said, the lights are cycling. We went through like 4 or 5 cycles with the light turning red. Well, we just had to sit there and watch. It was kind of scary to watch, right? It's like, okay, I hope they don't stop and decide, okay, this is the intersection where we start rioting. Yeah, I saw that in the middle of Ohio. So, hey, Vivek, maybe you got a chance. Maybe you can get those young Negroes to vote for you. GSP says, Lindsay is just terrible. Yeah, he's just the worst. And I love that he's disdained. I had a friend who used to try and get me to watch Lindsay. And people didn't dislike him so much when he was just sort of staying in his lane and talking about theory. But of course, he's out there doing his thing. All right, climate and drilling. The president signed a number of executive orders withdrawing the United States from key agreements and agencies. I'm immediately withdrawing from the one-sided Paris Climate Accord ripoff, Trump said Monday. Yeah, well, I like all that. Yeah. He also withdrew from the U.S. He also withdrew the U.S. from the World Health Organization, which will deprive the organization of millions of dollars in funding. That's good. Tariffs and taxes. Trump fulfilled his campaign promise to impose steep tariffs on countries like Canada and Mexico, saying that as of February 1st, there will be a 25% tariff on imports from both countries. He also signed an executive order saying that a global minimum corporate tax deal supported by the Biden administration and negotiated with over 100 countries has no, quote, no force or effect, unquote, in the U.S. without an act of Congress. I don't know anything about that. There was some agreement, like I think it was 15% in the global corporate tax. Yeah, it was kind of bullshit. I'm not for. I'm okay with taxing corporations, but I'm not for any sort of global agreements that affect the law in my country. Again, I'm a sovereignist. That's it. I believe in the sovereignty of all nations, right? I don't care if they're democratic. I don't care if they're capitalist, communist. I don't give a shit about the rights of women or gays within your country. My country should be sovereign. Your country should be sovereign. I mean, that's half of it right there, and the rest is racial, you know. Trump signed a pair of executive orders to boost oil and gas drilling. One order seeks to drill in Alaska's Arctic National Wildlife Refuge and National Petroleum Reserve. Yeah, no, I'm all for that. If we're going to compete with China, I mean, I don't want to go to war with China. So if we're going to compete with them economically, we need cheap energy. You know, I mean, that's a big part of, if we're going to have a real economy again, if we're going to build things, you know, if we're going to employ people, we need cheap energy. TikTok. On the social media front, the president signed an executive order extending the deadline for TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, to divest from the app just one day after a law requiring its ban took effect. I didn't really understand this when I heard it. Oh, there's an executive order restoring TikTok. I said, you know, as you probably asked yourself, the president can't really repeal a law, right, by executive order. If they passed a law banning TikTok, it has to be repealed in Congress, right? Well, apparently what he did was he extended the deadline. Excuse me. I guess he has that authority to extend the deadline. It was like 3 months before TikTok has to divest, and he's just trying to strong-arm TikTok into coughing up a 50% stake to the U.S. government. And of course, it's not going to be, or not the U.S. government, but whatever investors manage to convince the U.S. government that they're the ones who get to buy TikTok. You know, whoever's got the money and the connections to do it. I remember that was the original plan with TikTok from a couple of years ago. There was a Jewish guy who was going to lead the group that was going to buy TikTok when they first started on TikTok. You know, and of course the ban on TikTok is about Israel and about criticism of Israel, and it's about controlling the narrative. Nothing to do with China's supposed threat from China, though they'll play that up as part of this broader effort to get us into hostilities with China. You know that. I'm not telling you. You guys all know that. So anyway, you know, I guess I'm pro TikTok, but this executive order isn't necessarily what you might think. The app went offline in the U.S. for a few hours late Saturday, but became available again after the company announced that it believed Trump would block the ban from taking effect. Trump's executive order gave ByteDance an additional 90 days to divest from TikTok to avoid a ban on the app. Yeah, so we'll see. That might not even... Trump might not even be able to enforce the delay on the ban. Transgender rights and DEI efforts. The president also signed an executive order that could significantly curtail transgender rights, which Trump and Republicans made a focal point of their campaigns. In one executive order, Trump said his administration will use, quote, clear and accurate language and policies that recognize women are biologically female and men are biologically male, unquote. Quote, it is the policy of the United States to recognize two sexes, male and female, the executive order said. These sexes are not changeable and are grounded in fundamental and incontrovertible reality. It's crazy that you even have to do this, of course. The president also signed an executive order gutting federal programs aimed at improving diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workforce, describing them as quote-unquote wasteful, quote, illegal and immoral, unquote. Trump directed the White House Budget Office and the Justice Department to, quote, coordinate the termination of all discriminatory programs, including illegal DEI and diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility mandates, policies, programs, preferences, and activities in the federal government under whatever name they appear. The executive order marks a massive victory for conservative and right-wing activists who have argued that DEI programs unfairly discriminate against those who are deserving of certain jobs and school placements. Advocates of DEI policies, meanwhile, argue that having a diverse and inclusive environment helps attract more talent, fosters creativity, and enhances overall performance. Yeah, isn't it insane that they can even say that? Like, who believes that? King Kush says, for half. For half what? What is that in regards to, King? Renaming Gulf of Mexico and etc. Yeah, that's incorrect. That's ridiculous. Creating Doge. Yeah, okay. So there's Doge. We'll see what comes of that. Security clearances. He revoked security clearances for 50 people who signed a letter saying that a news story about Hunter Biden's laptop was part of a Russian disinformation campaign. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Flags on Inauguration Day, yeah. How many executive orders did Trump sign during his first week in 2017? I don't know. Trump allies have signaled that he could sign up to 100 executive orders on his first day in office, which would be the highest number any president has signed on their first day. Yeah. Here's a chart. First week executive orders by president. Biden did 9 on his first day, 15 in his first week. Donald Trump in 2017 only did 1 on day 1. 4 in his first week. And I think the one he did was the so-called Muslim ban. Barack Obama did 5 in his first week. Barack Obama, I recall, was criticized for signing so many executive orders. I think he started a trend that we're currently in of presidents using executive fiat to advance policy as much as they can. I remember people criticizing Obama for signing a lot of them. And Trump, of course, is just taking it to the extreme now. King Kush says, oh, half the TikTok deal. Yeah. We'll see what happens with the TikTok deal. I've heard that President Xi of China, is no big fan of TikTok, actually. Yeah. Yeah, we already saw that. Okay. I don't know. I don't know if I have anything else for you. What do you guys have for me? You've got something for me, don't you? Something? Anything? Kush? Kush has a bag of weed for me. I'm sorry I don't do that anymore. GSP. Is that GSP the MMA great? Is that would be funny if that was actually GSP. Yeah. King Kush says, I heard there was a rush in Indian couples seeking C-shit. Oh, that's gross. Yeah. Well, the birthright citizenship thing is that's still a long shot. That's still just, he threw that out there to get the ball rolling. But, take legislation. It would take a Supreme Court ruling or legislation. But the vibe shift is real, and these questions, really these necessities, things that we've needed to happen for a long time, but were just stuff you couldn't even get the debate started. Birthright citizenship needs to end, and we need to deport as many of the, we need to deport the majority of illegals in the country now, and just send them home and fucking just to breathe, just to get started, if there's any chance for this country. Not that I care anymore, honestly. I don't know if I care anymore. I know I'm not a patriot anymore. I'm just stuck with this country. I'm stuck here. I don't think I love the country anymore. It doesn't love me, right? Right? I'm not feeling the love, America. I don't feel your embrace. I think the thrill is gone. I'm pretty sure the thrill is gone. All right. We're going to take a break. Yeah, just a short break. Does anybody have anything? Any requests? I'm looking through my playlist here to try to find something good. Yeah. I need to go to my actual playlists. Let's see. All right. Yeah, I've been playing that one way too much. Okay. The lists which are play. No requests? Okay. No requests. All right, I'll be right back. Go back to electro. Whoa. Sorry. We didn't want to play them sissies. All right. Okay. I have nothing. I've decided I have nothing. Nothing further to add. Let's see. I'm just looking through the tabs here. Got that one. Okay. Yeah. I don't think there's anything more. Excuse me. Oh, yeah. No, I think we're going to shut her down and maybe come back tomorrow night. Yeah, there's maybe a subject for tomorrow night. Yeah, we'll do our taxes. Jay Walker, I'm sorry, he came here at the end. Good morning, Jay. Good morning, UK. Good to see you. Yeah, really good to see you. We missed you, Jay. But I'm afraid it's the end of the night. Unless you have something, throw something at me, Jay. Maybe one more thing to just keep this going. Just one more thing. 4 a.m. there. Wow. What are you doing up at 4 a.m.? Are you pulling an all-nighter, sir? Another one of those all-nighters? Okay. Yeah. Okay, it's looking. Yeah, I tried to watch the Trump press conference in California where he sparred with Mayor Karen Bass. But honestly, I just can't stand the way Trump just rambles, man. He just rambles. It just drives me nuts. Get to the point. Get to the point. There's just no reason, absolutely no reason for all of this rambling and just, you know, one tangent after another. It's crazy. Just crazy. All right. We're going home now, though. Thank you all for showing up. We'll return again probably tomorrow night. Probably then. I don't know. I'm looking for something to play here. Well, we'll go ahead and play this. Long outro. I'm feeling nostalgic. I don't know if this is the right one to play or not, but
I was on the beach, but I was thinking about the bay. Got to the bay, but by then I was far away. I was on the ground, but looking straight into the sun. But the sun went down and I couldn't find another one for a while. For because it was an all burning feeling in my chest to fill the void of a long night unwatched by, well, the sun. Until the morn, until when, well, the sun's reborn. And so am I, from all the scorn buried deep within the psyche of my soul. I was standing down, but I was also on the run in my mind. I was on the radio talking with a friend of mine. There wasn't no format because, well, we like it like that. He was out of his mind and I was way out of mine. Then everything went backwards with words coming out backwards. And I appreciate him to the utmost degree. On the beach, but I was thinking about the bay. Got to the bay, but by then I was far away. I was on the ground, but looking straight into the sun. But the sun went down and I couldn't find another one for a while to fill the void. Until the morn. Then everything went backwards. I mean, phrases flying out backwards. Yeah. So I was in the grass, so I was chilling out, but with a very drifting mind. So I was on the ground, circa planet Earth, but out of sorts. But a snapback baby, just in time to jot it down and come around. And it's always nice to see, and I came around. It's always nice to see you here. When I come around, when I'm plane coming down, then everything goes backwards. I mean, everything moving out. Then everything goes backwards. I mean, everything oozing out backwards. Strumming to the Chet Atkins. I was standing up, but you know I hate to still stoop you down to my level. and I